everybody, Patty Ann here again. Today I'm going to teach you how to use some tools in Stitch Artist Level 3. I know I'm doing a series on Stitch Artist Level 1, but I wanted to make something today for real, and so I'm using Stitch Artist Level 3. So these are what I'm making. These are for my grandkids who are twins. These look like they're for the 4th of July, but they're really just patriotic. But you don't have to make stars, and you don't have to make them these colors, but you're going to learn some tips on how to use some of the tools in Stitch Artist Level 3 today that I think you're going to love. So let's get started. Okay, this one shows Levi's finished, and this one shows Layla's finished, but we're going to start with a whole new sheet. So I came up here to the new page, and I have my 4x4 hoop open to do this. First thing I'm going to do is, I said I'm in Stitch Artist Level 3, but I can do this even if I'm not. This part, I'm going to come right up here to this little gear. It says Merge Design from the library. So I'm going to click on that, and I have lots of stuff. If you look at the catalogs, lots of things over here. But what I'm using today are the Embrilliance outlines, and I'm specifically going to the stars. And when I'm in the stars, I decided I wanted to use star number 4, which is right here. So I'm going to double click on that to open it. Now, I did want it a little bit bigger than this. If you'll notice, if we get out of create mode by clicking up here, we can see exactly how big this is in inches. 2 inches wide by 1 and almost 2 inches tall. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And if you want to see it in millimeters, of course, look right over here. I could change it to millimeters by just that click there, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and center this in my hoop. So center design in hoop is this button right here. So that's perfect. So that's the first thing I need, was the star. The next thing I'm going to need are the lettering, or is the lettering. I'm going to change this first of all, though. Instead of it just being a line as it shows over here in the Objects panel, I'm going to click on it here, or I could have clicked on it here to get the line, and I'm going to open up Create Mode again, and I'm going to change this to a fill stitch. Now right now it's just a regular fill stitch, but what I did on Layla and Levi's was I made it right here by coming in the Properties panel. If you go to the second button over, there are emboss patterns. So I used an emboss pattern for theirs. Now, nothing shows up when you click on emboss pattern because you have to click on add. So you have to add a pattern. Now there's several different ways that you can do this. Geometric shapes, fonts. I just clicked on shapes, and all of these different shapes came up. On Layla's, what I did, and let's see, did it show up? Well, it doesn't show up really well because it's small. But what I did, it does make a nice texture though. I just did a star pattern. So here's a star. I'll use star number 6 this time. I think before I used 7. So I'll say OK. Now notice what it did. It automatically put those star shapes in here. And I can go ahead and change the inclination if I like to, so they're straight up and down more so. And that looks perfect to me. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the text tool. When you click on that, of course, the ABC comes in. Over here in the Properties panel, I'll change that to the name Layla and hit Enter. Right now I have it in the block font. I think I'm going to change it. Let's see, did I like that better? Yes, I think I'll change it to Block Mini there. And I'm going to skinny it down a little bit and put it right down here. Perfect. Okay, so let's see. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of these things. So I'm going to highlight both of them. And this is where the Stitch Artist Level 3 comes in. I'm going to go back to Create Mode. And while I have all of these selected again, I'm going to come up here where it says Create an Outline from Stitches on the Page. Right there. So there we go. So that made an outline for the stitches that I have on the page. It did the star and the letters. Perfect, just what I want. Now with that selected, I'm going to increase that those outlines by coming right here. I'm going to inflate the objects. So I have those outlines selected. I'm going to say inflate the objects. And I'm going to come right here because I'm going to inflate it by about 4.5 millimeters. And I'm going to remove holes. Okay. And I'll say okay. So there we are again. We're back to this and it looks terrific. One of the things I noticed was all this junkiness right around here, around Layla's name. Well, I can fix that by clicking on this. That's the outline and all the shapes. And I'm going to come up here to where it says Union. I'm going to click on the Union button. And it's not going to look like anything happened. But something did happen if you were paying attention. Let me undo it and open this back up. So here we are again. I want you to look right down here at the bottom for object 3:6. Watch when I say Union. Aha! We have another one now, and that's the one where everything is union together. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this bottom one, hold down my shift key and come up to the very top one like that. So everything is selected except for the union, and I'm going to delete those selected ones. Great. Now you may be thinking to yourself, yes, but there's that hole in there, and I thought we didn't want any holes. Well, I'm going to select the union again, and a really easy way to get rid of this, you could click on the nodes and delete them, but a super easy way is to come up here to Create, Outline. Now notice over in the Objects panel, there's just one thing in this third object, right? This third thing. Watch when I say Create Outline and Separate Holes. Watch what happens. Ah, look at that. And that is that hole right there. So now I can just click on that and say delete and it's gone. Perfect, just like that. The other thing that I want to do is I want to make a little circle up here that I'll union with that. So I'm going to come over again to, let's go to this thing, and I'll go to the shapes and I'll get a circle and double click on it. It opens really, really wide. I'm just going to shovel it in, move it in like that, and then I'll bring it up here to the top and maybe make it a little bit bigger like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this circle and this union and union them together. So once again, I got another thing down here that wasn't there before. Let's watch. Right now, we have the union, which is just this outline, and we have this circle. If I grab both of them together, come back up here to union, now notice I have a third thing here, which means I can get rid of this circle and this union, and now we have this perfectly just like this. So what I'll do next is I'll just click on this, and I'm gonna, actually what I'm gonna do is click on it and I'm gonna Control Copy or Control C, or what is it, Command C on your Mac, and Command or Control V to paste one. So the first thing it's going to do when it gets to this part, it's going to make an outline of this, and it's going to show me where to put my thing, my extra pleather underneath, so I have a nice leather backing, which you'll see in just a minute. So the last thing I did was a blue color. I'm going to let this run at the same blue color, but the next one I'm going to have that be a different color so that my machine will stop and allow me to put the leather underneath. So I'm going to come down here to color, click on the color swatch, and just click something else. Say OK. So now what it's going to do, it's going to do this blue outline. I'll know where to put my other piece of pleather under my frame or my hoop. Then it's going to tack it down with this yellow one, and then I'm going to paste one more. So I'm going to Control V, copy, and Control V for paste. V is in Victor. Or I'm going to Command copy, or Command C as in Carol, and Command V as in Victor. So Control C, Control V, there we go, we have another one. This last one is going to be my satin stitch. And I think I'll make the satin stitch the same color as I made her name. So I'm going to go over here to the color swatch. This time I don't want to have to search all over here for the color I used recently. So if I click on palettes, it shows me I used Dusty Blue. I'll click on that and say OK. And I'm also going to make this, come up here and make this a satin border. And I made mine about 2.5 millimeters wide. So this, I'm going to leave this the same color. Actually, I'm going to use the same thread for this, and I'm actually going to use the same thread for this one when I do the tack down. But I am going to do one more thing, and that is to Control Copy, or Control C and Control V, because after it does this satin border, I really like how it looks when it has an extra run stitch on top of that. So I'm going to switch that to run. So let's see how this is going to stitch out using the Stitch Simulator. Okay, so in the Stitch Simulator, the first thing it's going to do is going to do the underlay for the star. And then the rest of the star with the embossed stars on it. Then it's next going to do Layla's name. It's going to do the first set of stitches, which are supposed to be a run stitch. So let's go back into create mode. And this first one is supposed to be a run stitch, and I forgot to make that a run. The next one is going to also be a run, and then the satin border, and then a run. But like I said, I wanted to go back to the fill and let's see what kind of underlay we have. I have contour and perpendicular lines, and I found that that worked out just fine for the ones that I'm doing. So again, to the Stitch Simulator, first we have the underlay, and then the star. After the star comes Layla's name, and then a run stitch so that I know where to put the fabric or the pleather underneath, so this has a backing. Then it's going to be tacked down into place, and then the next one's going to be my satin stitch, and then the final one is going to be the run stitch that I think just finishes it off beautifully. So that's how easy it is to do this. So again, what we went over today a little bit was we learned about creating an outline from stitches on the page. We also learned how to inflate objects on the page, and we also did a little bit of union work on the page. So I hope you like this tutorial. I really wanted to make these, but remember, let's just look real quick. You could make any shape you can find. Let's look for a different shape. What if you wanted to do a, let's see, what might we do? Maybe you wanted to do a leaf, okay, for fall that's coming up. Whoopsie. So the first thing you can do is you can go ahead and fill the leaf. You can fill it with any color you like. Maybe I would like to make it a little bit different color, so I can go to threads, and maybe I'll make it this orangey color. Maybe the next thing I want to do is write under here a name. So I'll name this Charlie. So I'm going to come up here and get the alphabet, the lettering tool to create letters, and click and type in the name Charlie. Now I can make this smaller, so it fits like that if I like. And then the next thing I can do is grab all of this and come back up here to my Stitch Artist level 3, and I'm going to say create an outline from the stitches on the page. So it made an outline. I guess I didn't have everything selected because it didn't do the letters. So let's undo that and move Charlie over. Let's make it smaller. Grab both of these. Now we're going to make a outline from everything, and now this time it got Charlie and the leaf. Okay, so that's what we wanted. And now what we're going to do is we're going to grab that outline, and here's where we created the outline. Now we're going to inflate the objects, and I'm going to inflate them. You know, you'll have to play with this. I'll do 4.5, remove holes, and say okay. So like I said, that looks pretty weird, right? But we can click on this outline, and now what we're going to do is come right up here to where it says union. That means you're going to, make them come together. They're a union. So union them, and it doesn't look like it did anything, but remember down here at the very bottom, you see the word union. So up here, I'm going to click on the word right above union, go all the way up, hold down my shift, click, everything. Oh, I got the union selected too. I want this, select this. Okay, and I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard. So that leaves us with just that union, which is perfect. However, notice we have this one little dude here. So I can click on this. And again, as I said, I could click on these nodes and delete them on my keyboard. But an easier way to do it, I think, is just come up to Create, Outline, Separate Holes, and then you can just come over here and click on this separated hole and delete it. And that's how easy that is. And then depending on what you want to do next, maybe you just want to put a stitch on here like that. And that would be the end of it. Okay, what I'm using is Peel and Stick Tearaway. I'm going to have the smoother side up and the rougher side down in my hoop. I'm not actually going to hoop the leather. Okay, so I've already got my hoop figured out, loosened up a little bit so this will fit in here because it's kind of thicker. I think I do. There we go. So make sure you get it in there good. Might have to stand up to hoop. I don't know why there's a wrinkle in that. But I like to make sure that this is really well seated in the back of the hoop or the frame. Then I'm going to tighten up this little thing right here a little bit. Okay, and since I don't want to go ahead and hoop this leather here, this is why I like to use this material. You just kind of use something sharp to make like an X through here, being careful not to cut all the way through. There is a fix for that in case you do cut all the way through. You can actually put a piece of this on the underside on the back, sticky side up, which maybe I'll show that in another video, unless I've messed this one up. I don't think I have. I'm just twirling it around and tearing this top part off, that's leaving the sticky part. See that? So then I'm going to take my leather, and I actually made it a little larger than what I need, stick it down in here, and press it down in so it stays nicely. And that's all there is for me for hooping this. It's going to stick nicely. I didn't have any problems. Thanks so much for joining me, you guys. Hey, if you're in the market to get Stitch Artist Level 3 or any of the parts or pieces of Embrilliance, I sure appreciate it when you use my links down below. Don't forget, right now they're on sale for an extra 10%, and I have that link for you down below as well. Again, thanks so much for joining me. Hey, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'm really trying to get up to 60,000 subscribers. I can't believe I'm almost there. Thanks to you guys, I am. Thanks again for joining me. Bye for now.